The circle of Anata. Going to be talking about you. Surprisingly, in Japanese, you is tricky. I literally can't tell you how many words there are for you, but we're just going to be talking about 3. I can tell you there's probably maybe at least 10. You're never going to use almost any of them. You might use Anata, you might use Kimi, and you might use OMAE. So those are the ones that we're going to talk about today, okay?
Want to ask me questions live? Come to my Twitch. It's a great time.
Let's get started. Anata, which means you. Number 1, it's used to create distance with somebody, to sound cold, sometimes like to belittle someone, or like when you're angry. Like if I was angry at somebody and I'm like threatening them, I'm kind of like, well, I'm not gonna hang out with you anymore. It's like, anata to wa mou asobanai. I'm not gonna hang out with you anymore. Or like, I will not be hanging out with you anymore, in a kind of negative way. So does that make sense? Go ahead and write down the sentence. It can still be useful. Like asobu is the verb to hang out. Literally it's to play, but we say that ashita asobu, like, hey, you want to hang out tomorrow? You want to get together tomorrow? Usage number 2, when you know someone but you don't know their name. So my wife had this funny example. Have you ever watched an anime and it's like one person is like walking home and then you have somebody who's like from their school that's like following them and like in the dark. Then they're like, and they like step on something and it makes a noise and they're like, ah, anata datta no ne? Anata datta no? What? It was you? Because like, this is a unique situation because they know who they are, but it's somebody, let's say it's somebody from school that they know, like their face, but they don't know the person's name. Yeah, like a stalker from school. But let's just say the stalker is a nice stalker. Is there such thing as a nice stalker? A guardian. Oh, I'm not stalking you. I'm a guardian. Another example, I was just talking to a coffee store owner, and I don't know his name. I had been talking about like marketing and advertising and stuff, and then finally it was like I wanted to say your business, but I don't know his name. And so since usually we say the person's name instead of anata or kimi or omae, I couldn't. So I said anata no business, anata no eigyo, like anata no yatteru business ki nande. Like I said that I liked it. In the context of that conversation, it wasn't offensive because it was basically just replacing like, yeah, I don't know your name. Usage number 3, art. In songs, in poems, and especially like, you know, movies and anime and that kind of stuff. Anata ga ite hoshii. I want you here. But normally we just say ite hoshii. I want you to be here. We good? Usage number 4, when someone is much older than you. Doesn't feel so impolite or cold. I was at an onsen in Hakone. Hakone ga kirei desu ne. Kirei desu yo ne. It's tucked in the mountains, countryside town. Very foggy, like, but it's really famous for onsen. And we were there, I was there with my sister, and so we went into the different places, into like the separate rooms. And of course, I'm the only white guy, and she was the only white girl, and she can't even speak Japanese, so she told me about her experience. Like all the old Obachan were like, oh, look at that girl. She's white, or whatever. I don't know. And so I go into the onsen, and this old guy, I was like, everybody's just gonna stare at me. And so I go over to this like corner area where there's like a really old oji-chan. Oji-chan is like grandpa, like geezer. Then I didn't think he would talk to me, but he started talking to me in Japanese. We get to talking, and then he says, Anata wa doko no guni no hito? And he says, like, you know, what country are you from? And so I wasn't offended, and just like, he doesn't know my name. Like, it's not like we said, hajimemashite, watakushi JD to moshimasu, yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Like, we didn't have a formal greeting, and we just started talking. He's like, oh, I lived in America. Can only the older person use it? I did not want to use that. It didn't feel right for me to use it back. So I would say in general, yeah, I should show respect to him. So if I were to also say it, anata wa, it's like, usually at that point we start to ask people's names because it can become very difficult to, no, I didn't call him Oji-san. This was like the first time that I'd really been in such a situation, and I was confused. Yeah, you could say like sochira wa, sochi. Nowadays I'd probably say like sochi wa. I didn't really know what to do at that time. Now I would say like sochi wa toka, or usually there becomes a point in conversation where you like kind of are like, you need somebody's name because you're like, I need to ask you questions, but you can get around it. So, sumimasen, chinamini namae nan desu ka? Like, by the way, what's your name? Chinamini is like, by the way. Chinamini, お名前教えてもらっていいですか? Could you tell me your name? 教えてもらっていいですか? Usage number 5. Term of endearment, just like Bernardo said. あなた、私も行くわよ. Darling, I'm going to. Like, I'll come with. I'll come with. And this is the one you hear in like movies and anime a lot, but it's definitely older. I think most people don't really say anata now. Yeah, as a term of endearment, but you'll hear it older couples still. The last one is advertising. Pretty just straightforward. Like when something's trying to catch your eye, like an ad, they'll say, "Anata wa ima shiawase desu ka?" That's not impolite. It's just like there's kind of no other way to do it. So this one's kind of standard as well. Anata wa ima shiawase desu ka? Are you happy? Like right now? Now it's your turn. Make a sentence using anata. Yo! Save that sentence somewhere or memorize it. Kimi. Kimi ne. Kimi 大好きだよ. また君を泣かすかもしれない. Boom. So kimi, same thing. Art, poem, song. So nakasu, to make someone cry. I might make you cry again. You guys are gonna need that sentence for when you get to Japan, okay? Would you use kimi to your kohai or subordinate in your job? Yes. I forgot to write that for kimi, but I did do it for omae. You wouldn't say kimi, but like the senpai to kohai thing, definitely. All right, boom. To create distance with somebody, to sound cold, to belittle somebody when you're angry. So the next one is, I have this basically the same sentence, okay? So, kimi ikutsu, like, how old are you? Like, I don't know, yoku, we hear it in Japanese, like, omae shougakusei ka? Like, what are you, an elementary schooler? But in English, we don't say elementary schooler. We say, what are you in, like, 5th grade? What are you in 2nd grade? But this is an example of it being used to belittle someone, and then next usage, addressing a child whose name you don't know. Kimi wa ikutsu? And now it's a nice one. Right here, it's like, how old are you? This is used as an insult. But then here you have this one. Now you're just genuinely being kind and asking. Gotta love the 5th grade. Yeah. I remember my hairstyle. It was awful. All right, your turn. Make a sentence using kimi. Kimi を使って、日本語の文章を作ってみてください。どうぞ。
お前何してんだよ。こんなとこで何してんだよ。あおい、お前ら、何してんだよ、こら。ああ
I love that delinquent voice. Yeah, man. Probably the number one usage is like to belittle somebody or when you're angry. Then 日本語で言うこう、見下す to look down on somebody. All right? So obviously, these are not the kind of things that we're going to be saying to people in real conversation. Unless you're like really pissed at somebody. Why not? Well, because these are not nice words. If you were to say omae to somebody randomly, man, you'd be in trouble. Huh? They would be like, what'd you just say? It's like almost like if you call someone omae and you really don't know them closely, it's like saying F you almost. It's pretty bad if like you don't have a close relationship. How to pick fights in Japanese. Ah? Then they would immediately switch. If you called somebody omae, then they would start calling you omae like instantly. Ah? So yeah, to belittle someone or when you're angry. 2, between friends, usually boys, like, omae. You know, even like outside, little kids playing, they're like 9 years old. I hear them say like, omae osoi zo. Omae hetakuso da na. Like, you suck, man. We'll say that kind of stuff. I was joking, sensei. We don't joke here. We don't joke. Yes, we do. We make lots of jokes. お前いつも遅刻するよな. Dude, you are always late. Because even in English, we can use dude kind of like in a negative way. Like, dude, will you stop? Right? If you guys are watching the channel for the first time and you haven't followed, please follow. Subscribe to the channel. So, art, poem, TV. This one's like anime. お前はいつも鬼が好きか. Towards someone you're close with, potentially negative. お前が好きだ. Like my friend Dai. This is how he said he likes to tell people he likes them. When he kokuhakus, when he confesses his feelings to them. That's the last one. やっぱ、なんで、テキストとかで、なんで、あなたの名前は何ですかとか教えるかは、まあわかるけど、教えてほしくないなーっていつも思う。Make a sentence using omae if you want.